Hello everyone, in this video I will talk about an easy way for subnetting, and I have collected 4 types of questions about subnetting, and I will show you an easy way to solve these questions. The first one is find subnet mask for shorthand 172530, sometimes called CEDAR. So let's get started. So if you have a questions, this is the easiest question about the subnet. When it asks you to find the subnet mask for a shorthand, for example 17, or sometimes says 20 or 30, and sometimes the question will be like this. So there is no difference. So all your work will be on that CEDAR or shorthand. As I told you, this is the easiest question. So all you have to do, as you know, subnet consists of 4 octets. Each octet has 8 bits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 8 bits. We need 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 8 plus 8 equals 16, and 1 is left. So 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 8, and the rest will be 0. Okay, and as you know, each these represent a number. The first one is 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, and 1. So if we calculate these numbers, we get 255. Also, this one is 255, and this one we have 128, and the rest will be 0. So the subnet mask for the 17 is equals 255, 255, 128, 0. So the next example is for 20. How you calculate the subnet mask for 20? As I said, we have 4 octets, and let's count from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and the rest will be 0. Okay, this will be 255, 255. This is 128, 64, 32, 16. If you sum of 128, 64, 32, 16, this will equals so this will equal 240. So we have 240.0. So the subnet mask for this CEDAR will equal okay. As I said, this is the easiest question you get on subnetting. So let's go to the next question. Sometimes you have a question saying find network ID or network address, or sometimes it asks you to find the subnet ID. The network ID is the first IP number. And for finding the first IP number, we have 3 rules. Okay, the 3 rules. The first one is very easy. It says if, and before I mentioned the first rule, the 3 rules will work on the subnet mask. So all your work will be on the subnet mask. So if the subnet mask is equal to 255, what you do, you put the IP number as it is. You just put the IP number as it is. But if the subnet mask is equal 0, what you do, you put 0. So let's work on these 2 rules and then we go to the third one. So I will take the first example, 192.168.154/16. So how you find the network ID for this? First, as I said, we will work on the subnet mask. So we have to find the subnet mask using the shorthand. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. This is 8. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. This is 16, and the rest will be 0. Okay, so the subnet mask for this shorthand or seeder will be 255.255.0.0. So from here we can find the network ID. The network ID, as I said, the first rule, if the subnet mask is 255, we can just put the IP address. And the second one, 168, because we have 255. And the third octet, because we have 0, so we just put 0. And the fourth octet also we put 0. So the network ID, or the first IP, or the subnet ID for this network, will be 192.168.0.0. Okay, so let's go to the third rule. The third rule says when you don't have 255 or there is no 0, another number, what we do. So I will explain it using this example, 192.168.154.27. Okay, first let's find the subnet mask. Eight, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. This is 24. 8 8 8 24 25 26 27. Okay, so this will be 255 255 255. This will be equal 128 plus 64 plus 32. This will be equals to 24. So the subnet mask for this network will be 255 255 255 224. So now if you want to find the network ID, it is easy. 192 because you have 255, 168 because we have 255, 100 because we have 255, but here we have 224. It is not 0 and not 255. For this, what we do a small calculation. Every time if you have a number not 255 and 0, get 256 minus 224. How much you get? You get 32. Okay, after that, this number do an increment for itself. So 32 plus 32, 64, until you get a number close to this IP address. So 32, 64, 96, 96 plus 32 equals 128. 128 plus 32 equals 160. As you see, we reached a number which is close to that IP address and it is bigger than this. So we will find a number which is bigger than our IP and close to it. And then we use a number before it. Okay, we use a number before it. We just put it here. It will be like 128. The network ID will be 192.168.100.128. So what we did, we have a number, we call it a magic number, minus our subnet mask, we get a number, and this number will be increased by itself. 32 minus 32 plus 32, 64, 64 plus 32, 96, and so on until you get a number which is bigger than our IP address and close to it. Let's explain another example to find out more. 172.25, 167, 175, and the subnet 255, 255, 240, and 0. If you want to find the network ID, what you do, as I said, if the subnet mask is 255, you just put the IP address, and the third octet is not 255 or 0, so let's leave it for now. And this is, we put 0 because we have a subnet mask 0. And for this, as I said, we have 256 minus 240 equals 16. So what we do, 16 plus 16, 32, 48, 48 plus 16, 64, 64 plus 16, 18, and so on. 96, 1112, 128. Still we didn't reach this IP address, so we have to continue increment the number. 144, 116, 176. So now this is the number which is close to our IP address, and this is bigger than this. So we take a number which is smaller than, or the first number before the last number. We just put it here, and this will be our network ID. Another type of questions is find broadcast address, which is the last IP address. How we find this? We use the same rules which is used for the network ID, but with a bit difference. The three rules will be like this. The first one is same. If the subnet mask is 255, you just put the IP address. Okay, but if the subnet mask is 0, this time we not put 0, we put 255, the last number. And the third rule, we explained it during an example. We have this example. Let's go through it. 192.168.33, and we have a subnet mask 255, 255, 255, 0. So the broadcast ID will be, because we have 255, we just put the IP address, and so on. Same for the third octet, and for the last octet, because we have 0, we just put 255. And for the network ID or IP, same and same, but because we have the 0 in the fourth octet, we just put 0. So the network ID is 0 and the broadcast ID will be 255. It's simple like this. And for the other rule, for the other example, we have another rule, 192.168.233. We have the same IP with a different subnet mask, 255.248. How we find the broadcast ID? As I said, if you have 255 as a subnet mask, just put the IP address. And for this, what we do the calculation as we did for the network ID with a bit difference. So what we do, 256 minus the last subnet, 248. What we get 8. So what we do the increment, 8 plus 8, 16, 16 plus 8, 24, 24 plus 8, 32, 32 plus 8, 40. So we get a number which is bigger than our IP address. In the network ID, we were using that number which was before the last biggest number, but here we used the last IP, the last number minus 1. So in this case equals 39. We just put 39 here. So it is very easy. What we did, 256 minus 248 equals 8. We do increment for this number by plus to itself. 8 plus 8, 16, 16 plus 8, 24, 32, 40 is close number to this and bigger than the IP address. We use this number to find the broadcast or last IP. Just minus 1 and put the number will be the broadcast ID. For example, if we want to find the network ID, it is easy. Same rules, 192.168.2. We use this number which is before that. We just put it without any extra calculation on it. So this is the network ID. Another type of question asks you how to find the first valid host IP, or sometimes ask you to find the last valid host IP. So let's get started with these two examples. If I want to find the first valid IP for this IP address, 10.42.15.90/19, what we do first, we have to find the subnet mask. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. 1 2 3 4. This is 8 and 8, so this should be 3. So this will be 255, 128 plus 64 plus 32 will be equals 224 and 0. So for finding the first valid IP and the last the valid IP, we use the 3 rules as we used before. So 10 is 10 because we have 255, so we use 10. We use 42 because we have 255 as a subnet mask, and we leave this octet because we have 224. And for the last IP, we use 0 because we want to find the first valid IP. So first we find the network ID. This will be the network ID. So let's find the third octet. What we do, 256 minus 2 equals 32. So we do increment for this number until we get an IP address which is bigger than this. 32 plus 32 64. 64 is bigger than 15. So what we do, we use an IP which is less than, or the first number before the last one, so it is 32. So the first valid IP is this is network ID. This IP will not be used by any host, so the first ID will be this IP plus 1, so it will be like 10.42.32.1. so this is the first valid IP address. So to find the first valid IP address, what we do first, we do find the network ID first, and then plus 1 will be the first valid IP. And to find the last valid host IP, what we do, we find the broadcast ID, and then minus 1 will be the last valid host IP. So let's explain it in one example. If I want to find the last valid IP for the same IP address, we use the same rules, but this time what we do, because we have 255, we just put the IP 42, and as I said before, the broadcast IP will be 255 if we have 0. And for this, instead of using a number before the last number, we use the last number minus 1, so this will be 63. So let's find the first and last valid IP address for this example as well. One 92, 168, 101. Before everything, we change this to a subnet mask. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. This is 8 8 8 24 25 26 27. Okay, this will be 255 255 255 dot 128 plus 64 plus 32 is equals 224. So if you want to find network ID, as I said, if you have 255, you just use the IP address. But for the one which is not 0 or 255, we do a small calculation. 256 minus 224 is equals 32, and we do increment for this number. 32 plus 32 64 until we get this number, a number bigger than the IP address. So we continue increment this number. 96 plus 32, 128. 128 plus 32, 116. So 116 is a number which is bigger than the IP address, and we use a number which the number before the last number. We use 128. 128 is the network ID, and the first valid IP will be 192.168.129, because plus 1 will be 129. This is network ID, and this is the first valid IP. If you want to find the broadcast IP or ID, what we do, as I mentioned before, if you have 255, we just use 192.168.100, and we use the last number minus 1, and we put it there. It is 159. This is broadcast IP. But for the last valid IP, minus 1 equals 192.168.158. This will be the last valid IP. The other type of question is find the total number of subnets and total number of hosts. For this type of questions, first step, you have to identify your IP class. As you know, we have 5 classes: class A to E, class A, class B, class C, class D, class E. Okay, class A start from 1 to 1 to 7, 1 to 8 to 191, 192, 223, 223, 224, 239, 240, 254. So the range is class A is 1 to 1 to 7, class B 1 to 8 to 191, class C. This is the first octet. The first octet of your IP address, you can determine it which classes you have. Why you want to identify the classes? Because in class A we have one network portion. We have 4 octet, as you know. We have one network portion, and the rest will be for the host. In class B we have 2 network and 2 hosts. In class C we have 3 network and 1 host. This class D is used for video streaming and broadcasting, and this node use it frequently, so our focus will be on these 3 classes. So as I said, the first step is identify which classes you have. The second step, we have a rule for number of total subnet is equal to power 2 number of subnets, and the total hosts equal to power 2 number of hosts minus 2. It is minus 2 because one number is used for broadcast and one number is used for network ID. So let me explain it through one example. For example, 1922, I have this IP address 168.0.0, and we have a subnet mask 255, 255, 255, 240. So if it asks you how to find the total subnet and the total host, what you do, the first step, as I said, is identify which network you have. Here we have class C. So from the class C, we know that we have network and we have host. 3 network and 1 host portion. The second step, what we do, we change this to octet. As you know, this is 8. And this is 128, 64, 32, 16 is equal to 40, so the rest will be 0. Okay, as I said, this is network portion, this is network portion, this is network portion. Because we have class C, so all work will be done here to find the network ID and host number. Sorry, the network total subnet and the total host. So 2 plus these are the network, the subnet number, so times 4 is equal 16. This is the total subnet. For the host, because we have 4 zeros, the zeros are host, the 1 are subnet. So times 4 minus 2, 16 minus 2 equals 14. So let me explain another example. For example, I have 172.21.0.0 and I have a subnet mask. If you want to find total number of subnet and host, what you do, first identify which classes you have. As I mentioned, 172 is belong class B, so we have 2 network portion and we have 2 host portion. The second step, convert this to the hexadecimal, so this 8 and 128 is the first one is on and the rest is off. Okay, so to find the total number of subnet, what we do, this is 2 network portion and we have 2 hosts, so the work will be on this 2 octet. So these are represent the subnet number. So we have 8 here and 1 in this octet, so it is 9. So 2 times 9 will be the number of the subnet, and it is equal to 512 subnet. Okay, so for the subnet we calculate the octet, the bits which is on. So we have 8 and we have 1 here, so this is 9. And for the host we have this 7 left, so 2 times 7 minus 2, 2 times 7 is equal 126, or 128 minus 2, 126 hosts. And if you have another example for the class A, for example, I have 127, 35, 86.9 and I have a subnet mask like this, I will use the same subnet mask and let's see what number we get. As I said, this is class A, so we have one network portion and the rest will be hosts, so all work will be here. So for calculating the total number of subnet, we change these to hexadecimal. So our work will be here. For the number of the subnet, we have 8, 8, and 1, 16, 17. So this will be number of subnet. And for the number of the host, because we have only these zeros, so 2 times 7 minus 2, it will be 126 hosts. So we get the same number of hosts, and but different. This is a big number, I have to calculate it, and I will leave it for you. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was a useful explanation for you. Hello everyone. In part 1 we talked about how you find the solution for any type of subnetting questions. In this part I would like to practice our knowledge we got from the part 1. If you didn't watch part 1, I highly recommend you to watch it, and we clearly discussed it and showed you how to find the subnetting solution for the questions you have. So today we would like to do some practice through this website. This is a good website which allows you to create an account, and also if you like to have a premium account, you will get many features, but for the free account is sufficient for today's video. So let's get started. For this we go to free subnetting tools and click subnetting practice. Here we go. We have the first question, which asks the first valid host. As we mentioned in the previous video, part 1, for finding the first valid, it is good to find the network ID. So how we find the network ID? And for finding the network ID, what we do, let's write the IP address again in order to have it in one place. /29. First step, we change this 29 to a subnet mask. So we have to convert it to the octet. So we have to write 29 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 24. 1, 2, 3. Let me make it smaller. So 8, 8, 8, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. 1, 2, 3 left. So the second step is to converting these octet to subnet mask. So we mentioned in the first video the total of this octet is 25, 255, 255, 255, and for this we have to calculate it. 1 to 8 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 and plus 8. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have a calculator here and I will calculate it. 248. So we have the subnet mask 248. So the second step is finding the network ID. How you find the network ID? From the three rules. We said if we have 255 as a subnet mask, we can just put the IP address. So let's put 10.134.219, and for the subnet mask, which is not 0 or 255, we have to do a small calculation, which is 256 minus the subnet mask is equals 256 minus 248 equals 8. And then the number we get from this, we do incrementing it until we get the IP address. So what we do, 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, let me use the calculator here. 8 plus 8 plus 8 and the number should be bigger than this number. So we got 56 plus 8, 64. So we got 56, 64. So this is the last number, and we use the number before the last number, 56. We just put it here. This will be the network ID, and first valid IP will be the network ID plus 1, 10.134.219.57. So this should be the first valid IP address. So let's put it there and see, check our answer, it is correct or not. Correct. So our calculation was good. So let's go to the next question. Click next. What's the shorthand corresponding to a subnet mask of this? So in this one, it asks for this shorthand, this. So how you find it? Let's write the subnet mask first. Sorry, 240.0.0. To find the shorthand, first we change the subnet mask to octet. So we have 8 octet here on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And for 240, we have to calculate it. 128 plus 64 plus 32. I believe it will be the right number. 128 224 plus 8. Sorry, this is my mistake. 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16. So we have to calculate here also. So we have to make 4 octet on. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the rest will be 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now it is easy to find the shorthand. What we do, we have 8 and 4, so this should be 12. So let's check our answer. Don't forget to put this 12. Submit. Correct. Our answer is correct. So let's go to the next question. Okay, enter the first valid host on the network. So it's same like the first question. We have an IP address with the shorthand 0. So the first step is to change this shorthand to a subnet mask. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So how many ones? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now we change it to subnet mask. and this is 254 minus 1 because the first octet is 1, so it should be 254.0. And let's find the network ID before the first valid ID. As we said, the 3 rule says if you have 255, you just put the IP address, and if you have 254, 256 minus 254 equals 2. So we have to increment this to until we get 96. So let's get back our calculator, our friend calculator. 2 plus 2 plus 2. $90, $94, $96 plus 2, $98. So 98 is the magic number. So before it was 96, 98. So we always use for the network ID a number which is before the last number. So 96 is our network ID. So the question asks for the first valid IP address, so it should be 172.29.96, and because we have 0, we use 0, plus 1 equals 1. 172.29.29 .96.1 should be the correct first valid IP. So let's go to the next question. Enter the maximum number of valid subnets and usable hosts per subnet that you can get from this IP address. So this asks for the total number of subnet and the host per subnet. So how we do that? Let's write the IP address first, and then the second step, change this 22 to the subnet mask. So 16, this is 20, 21, 22. This is 2 zeros left, and okay, so 255, and this is 255 minus 252.0. So this is equals 252. How you know that? You have to do a calculation. 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4. So this is 6 octet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you get our calculator, 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4 equals 252. So our subnet mask is like this. So now let's find the first valid and the question asks for the maximum number of subnet. So for subnet, after we convert this to octet, actually we don't need the subnet mask, but it is good practice to find the subnet mask. But for the maximum number of subnet, what we do, after we change this to octet, the second step is identifying which IP classes you have. Because we have 172, we have class number 2. In class B, we have class B, and in class B we have two network portion and two host portion. So all our work will be on this portion. So what we do, the subnet number equals 2 times the number of the octet which is on, we have 6, and equals, let me bring the calculator. So 2 times 6 equals 64, and for the host pair subnet equals 2 times, we have 8 0 and 2 0 here, so it means 10 minus 2, so 2 power 10 equal minus 2 equals, so we have 1022 hosts, 1022, and we have 64 subnet. Correct? So let's go to next question. Enter the last valid host on the network. So all the questions are same if you know the basic, so it is easy to solve all the questions. So we have an IP address 29.174.0, and the shorthand is this. It asks for the last valid IP, so we find the broadcast. But before that, let's change this shorthand to a subnet mask. So we have, this is 16, we have one number missing, and this is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 0. So we have 2255, 255, 255. This is not 255, 254 minus 1, and then 0. So for the broadcast, 172.29, 174, not 74. We leave this. We said for broadcast, if we have 0, we use 255, and for 254, what we do, 256 minus 254 equals 2, and we do increment the 2 until we get 174. Let's get the calculator. Plus 2, 176. So our number is 176. Minus 1, because it is broadcast, we put it here, it will be the broadcast will be the broadcast ID, and it asks for the last valid. We minus 1 will be the last IP, so 172.29.75.254 is the last valid. So let's just put it there and see if our answer is correct. Correct. I hope you enjoyed with us how to solve questions about subnetting. If you find this information useful, please share it in order your friends knows about it. This video is always here, so when you need it, you can come back and visit and watch it again. Thank you. See you next time. One of my friend asked a question about the subnetting rules to this example 192.168.10.10. according to the three rules. If we have 255, we use the IP address as it is, but if you have 0, we use 0 as the network ID. And other than this, we subtract 256 from the subnet mask, and the number we get, we do increment until we get a number which is bigger than our IP address. So in this case, we can have 192.168.10, and the last octet we get it from the subtraction. So 256 subtract 224, we get 32. And the number we get, we do the increment. Let me write it down. 256 minus 224, we get 32, and 32 is already bigger than our IP address. And according to the third rule, we use a number before the last number, but we have only one number which is already bigger than our IP address, so the number before it is 0. So in this case, in any case, if the number you get from the subtraction, if it is bigger than the IP address, we use the number before it, and if we have only this number, we should use 0 as a network ID. And that's all for all the type of questions about subnetting, and this should be as a network ID or subnet ID. I hope this was a clear explanation for the subnetting. See you in next time.